Locks, today is the day you'll forever know is the day you almost caught Leicester City. We have seemingly escaped the PSR points deduction. What the hell? This is incredible. Talk to me. How are you feeling?
Honestly, mate, I am flabbergasted. I am shell shocked. I was on a show with someone literally as recent as last night, and somebody actually said to me, they actually said, Leicester are confident of getting off this. And I went, they're in cuckoo land. They are not getting off this. And 24 hours later, like the news that, we all dreamt of has happened. And we are, well, I was going to say not guilty. I don't think that's the case. I think we are probably guilty. But we've found a loophole in a way, and we are now off. We've gotten off, mate. We are not getting a points deduction this season. Brilliant stuff.
We'll spend what we want. We'll spend what we want to. We'll only spend what we want. The chants are going to be absolutely unbelievable. I tell you what, let's go through some of the official facts, and then we'll work out. I've actually got the full court case up here, and it's pretty bonkers to actually read it. But let's just see. So here's from Leicester City's page. Leicester City has won its appeal against a decision that an independent commission had jurisdiction to consider an alleged breach by the club of Premier League profitability and sustainability rules, otherwise known as PSR. The Premier League first referred to the club to an independent commission in March 2024 for an alleged PSR breach relating to the assessment period ending on the 30th of June 2023. The commission dismissed the club's initial challenge to its jurisdiction to hear the case. Do you know what? I won't actually read this all because we'll be here all day, but essentially what we've argued is that because we were not in the Premier League at the date of 30th of June 2023, that we were a championship club, that ruling did not apply to us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the Premier League. Premier League statement here. The Premier League is surprised and disappointed by the Independent Appeals Board decision to uphold an appeal lodged by Leicester City FC regarding the league's jurisdiction over the club's alleged breach of its profitability and sustainability rules when the club was a member of the Premier League. In March this year, the Premier League referred Leicester City to an independent commission. You got to love these independent commissions. That's all I can say. Absolutely critical. Mm. That appeal has been upheld by an independent appeal board on the grounds that the club's accounting period, which ended on 30th of June 2023, came after the point that the club had ceased to be a member of the league. The appeals board decision effectively means, despite the club being a member of the league from seasons 2019-2020 to 2022-2023, the league cannot take action against the club for exceeding the relevant PSR threshold in respect of the associated accounting period. This is the first and only time I've looked at legal speak, and I'm getting somewhat turned on. Apologies to everyone in the comments, but this is absolutely incredible.
Hey, I don't know, mate. Have you ever watched Suits? Come on, mate. You got Donna and Rachel, mate. Don't lie to me. That's the first time.
Which was the one that Meghan Markle was in? Before she got. Was that
Rachel.
One? Was it?
Rachel. Yeah.
And here I've got the actual, this is fair play. They've actually printed out the entire thing for everyone to read. And so this is what Nick DeMarco, if you don't know who this is, guys and girls, this is our current player of the season. If you ever see him walking in the street, you shake his hand. This guy is incredible. He is the sports lawyer that has done this. Delighted to have acted for Leicester City Football Club against the Premier League in this important appeal. Funnily enough, he was also the lawyer for both Man City and Forest and helped all of those. But looking at his official doc, here we go. The facts. This is what I like about it. The facts. The facts relevant to our decision are not controversial, Logs. They're not controversial. You Everton fans, go stick it up your pipe. The facts relevant to our decision are not controversial. In season 2023, the LCFC was a member of the Premier League. As such, it was bound by the rules. After the end of that season, LCFC's results were such that it was due to be, and was, relegated, as we know only too well. In a calendar year, Leicester prepared audited accounts for the year ended 31st of May 2022. It follows that date was its accounting reference date for the year. So I'll keep going for it. There you go. The critical thing, the season finished on the 28th of May 2023. So at that point in time, we were not a Premier League club. We were a Championship club. And therefore, the PSR rules, they can go do one. Now, we'll come back to this all in a moment. It's all very confusing legal schmeagle speak. But you just mentioned to me off air that we are now in a situation, let's be honest, where both the Premier League and the EFL are looking at Leicester City and they cannot wait to have a go. So what are you feeling? What do you think this means for the future?
Well, I just wanted to add one thing
Yeah.
that I don't think he'll mind me sharing this because there's nothing crazy. I messaged Rob Tanner about 20 minutes ago, and he's just replied. So I just want to read it out. It's nothing crazy. It's just a little bit
Go
of
for it.
context. So Rob Tanner said, Leicester were confident that they could win the case. It is all down to the wording of the Premier League rules, which they have tried to interpret. Nick DeMarco has successfully argued before 3 judges that in matters of law, it is not about interpretation, but legally it is the written regulations that must be upheld as they are written. Huge ramifications for the Premier League and PSR, and an embarrassment for the Premier League. And I would agree. I would agree massively. I don't know if you has sample much of Stephen Borson.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, so he also it might not have been him. Who was it? He said there we go. Great win for Nick DeMarco, David Lowe, and Marlena Valles. Remember, barristers can successfully argue black is white and vice versa. Imagine the conclusion being that nobody can prosecute 22-23. Brilliant. That they were his words. And he's going to be a little... Stefan Borson gets a bit of stick from people because whoever he talks about, like the fans of that club go, he's obsessed with us and all this. No, he's just... And he's been very... Borson has been very kind of set in his ways. He said all along, Leicester will be punished. Leicester will be punished.
Yeah, that's right. So can't wait to get on his account.
Football world, most of the football world thought we were as well.
Well, let's be honest, every fan thought we were, given what we'd seen with Everton and Forest. But there's so many comments there. I'm sure everyone's got a lot to speak about. Firstly, I'm just going to bring up the table because it's funny. On the weekend, a few of us were doing like the post-match and we were saying, okay, well, in theory, we're in 15th place. But in reality, we're 20th place because we're actually on -7 points minimum. But now all of a sudden, absolutely huge. You said to me a few weeks ago, you said you'd only been positive for 2 days out of the entire 90 from on a luck scale of 0 to 10, how positive are you right now?
Mate, I am telling you right now, we are staying up this season. That's how big I think this is. Absolutely. Because we don't need to get into it now, but I have my concerns still about Steve Cooper. But I've seen enough from these players so far to know that even if Cooper was to be sacked at some point, I think someone would come in and keep us up. And, my whole concern was that we actually had a half decent season finishing on 40, 45, whatever. And then the deduction hits and we're down.
Yeah.
That's the biggest worry, So I'm buzzing, mate. I tweeted Leicester are staying up. I think that's what I said. I think I tweeted that just after the news came out. And I believe that this news is that big. And yeah, I've already seen a Leeds fan in the chat as well, by the way. I cannot wait. I am on Just Joe Football Show tomorrow at 12 p.m. And listen to this, mate. How funny is this, Anil, right? He asked me to send him a photo earlier about 3 o'clock for the thumbnail. And he said, send me a sad face. So I sent him a sad face. 20 minutes ago, he messaged me and said, will you send me a happy face? I need to change the thumbnail. so he's had to change it. So
you can send them a smug face after that one. That's absolutely incredible. So many comments here to go through. Just before I start going, well, a lot of people here, this will change our season. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we beat Palace now after this. The players will be buzzing. What more motivation do you want? Everything's in your own, power now. But, you could argue, obviously, a lot of people are going to say, oh, you cheated, you got away with it, which I suppose is technically true. But I mean, we did get punished, didn't we? We got relegated. Like that season, Everton, if you remember that season, both us and Forest were pushing for the Premier League to make a ruling back then, which would have punished Everton, which would mean we'd have stayed up. Some amazing comments there coming in. So, they stayed up. We went down. Did we not? I mean, the thing is that then all of the championship clubs will say, yeah, but then Leicester completely cheated in the championship by signing Harry Winks, Connor Cody, etc., etc. I mean,
well, technically not, because we may have breached for that as well. Let's not get onto that right now. While we're happy, we've got to wait and see what happens with that. But you know, the whole thing with PSR is, oh, you gained an advantage. Well, we didn't. We finished. Well, the only argument you could make that we gained an advantage is that we gained an advantage over Leeds and Southampton, who also went down. So, you know, we've not. It's not like we've. you know, from what we've seen, Anil, from the ruling, if we'd have stayed up, we'd have been punished, right? Because we would have still been a Premier League club come the end of the season, or the 30th of June, or whatever it is. So, we would have been punished if we were a Premier League club, but we got relegated. And you've got to think of it like, I understand, you know, we did technically break the rules and all of this, but it's kind of like a whole double jeopardy thing, isn't it? Because it would have been like, well, we got relegated and we're getting a punishment from the Premier League. It feels kind of like a double punishment, if you like. Whereas now it's, you know, we did our jail time in the Championship. We spent 9 months playing against Dross, right? and we've done our time, and now we're back, baby, and we ain't getting our sentence extended. We're back in the big time. No points deductions. Let's have it. Come on.
We are massive. That's what it is. It is an interesting one. This could be the beginning of the end of PSR. I wouldn't be surprised, because I hate to say it, that if we've got away with it, Man City aren't getting caught, are they? Let's have it right. Chelsea maybe, just because they're gone insane, but
well, because Man City's is more of, they've cooked the books, haven't they? They've like cooked the books. We're it's slightly different with us, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Here we go. Just don't get relegated anytime soon, as the EFL will jump on you. Yeah, we'll be. They are, you know, that bully. They can't wait, you know, to see it. I was just subjected to a full year of Fox's Hub. Isn't that enough punishment?
Hey, mate, all of us paying Fox's Hub, £10 a game. That's funded Nick DeMarco, mate. So we need to, you know, the club needs to thank us, but we'll thank ourselves. Yeah.
And says, against Everton, we need to get the "you cheating beep, you know what you are" ringing around the stadium.
Yeah, mate. Let's sue. You know, we were going to sue Everton. Let's sue them now. We can, you know, it's right. We're innocent. Let's sue them.
I wouldn't be surprised if they still try and do that, because to be honest with you, there's still an argument for doing that, and money's money at the end of the day. I mean, you know, it's just a fact. It's the rules. People might not like it, but it's the rules. Just like the law and getting off on the technicality. It is one of those that we've literally killed someone, but because, I don't know, they were wearing a tag or something like that, you know, they ruled that it wasn't us. So, you know, we were responsible for murder, but not guilty of it. OJ Simpson all over again.
Yeah, literally, mate. Yeah, for sure.
What do you think this will mean for the club going forwards? Because the thing is that as well, they probably were definitely, with some of the signings, there was one eye on the fact that we may not get off of this charge, right? And you know, now, for example, we didn't do anything really last January, right, when we were in the Championship. But now, when you mention Steve Cooper there, I mean, in some ways he'll be delighted, but in some ways he'll also know that if the pressure was on, I mean, they might just go, "Sorry, Steve, Graham Potter." Well, now you know.
Mate, you know what? Yeah, it's such a good point you make there, you know, because, you know, we were led to believe, well, we weren't really led to believe, but a lot of us had thoughts over the summer that the reason we couldn't get a manager, the reason we couldn't get certain players was because they were all turning us down because of a points deduction, mate. So, I mean, Anil, there's no doubt we're a more attractive club now than we were last night, because we
literally.
You know what I mean?
So, it's like winning the lottery, isn't it? All of a sudden, you're a 10 out of 10, when in reality, you know, you're past it and got the grey hairs and everything like that. Unbelievable.
Yeah, man.
Here's interesting. So someone said, Gray, fair enough. The Premier League have stated that they're going to look at what charges they can bring against us. And I wouldn't be surprised if they put some financial penalties on us. They are probably allowed. I mean, they just fined us actually this morning, didn't they, for failing to control our players in the 90th minute. But the reality is that that's, you know, piddle compared to the points deductions, all right? I mean, I'll be honest with you, Lux, if they'd have only given us -4 points, I would have taken that as a huge result. You just mentioned it yourself. I can see this team right now that we've got. I think that team gets 40 points. I can see that. But 40 points might not be enough. Now, the fact that it probably will be enough, incredible.
What Gray's referring to as well, he sent me a message.
Yeah.
So I'll just read it out.
Do you want to bring it up?
You might have even read it out yourself, but it says, it is, so Premier League added, it is of critical importance that the Premier League is able to enforce its rules consistently to maintain the principle of fairness. The league will now consider what further action it can take to ensure this is the case. Now, for me, that sounds, does that sound like they're going to try and hit us with something else, or does that sound like they're going to change the rules, the wording of the, because they're going to have to do that regardless. Now that we've absolutely made a mockery of them, they're going to have to change the rules. But yeah, I don't know what that means. I mean, will they hit us with a transfer embargo? But then again, if surely, and I hear what you're saying about financial penalty, but surely if the independent commission has ruled that they can't punish us for it, then they can't give us financial penalties either, or transfer embargoes. You know what I mean?
And I wouldn't be surprised if even if they tried that Nick DeMarco will get on the case as well. I do wonder as well. Do you know, like in law, you get double jeopardy, which is that if you've already been tried for something, then whatever happens, you can't be tried for it again. That's something that quite often happens. And because that's the thing, is that like last season as well, what the issue was, and in fact, this came from the season that we did get relegated, that one of the big here we go, all the Coopers out already. One of the big things is that the clubs at the time said it's unfair that you have to wait till after the season or the next season to retroactively apply rules that should be applied to the current season. So you need to fix up and get that done. And this is all kind of the mess of it. And I believe now, like for example, say even this season, I actually found it unusual that they didn't apply the points penalty before the season even started, because that's what they were kind of saying. And it's unfair to us fans to not know, are we coming or going? So what's interesting is I think they did try to do that. And of course, we've appealed. And maybe that's what, I don't know about you, but I wasn't expecting this decision, if it was to be made, to come until probably early next year, which was around the same time that it came for Forest and Everton, right? So this is amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the problems, mate, because there's been so much doubt. You know, I don't doubt at all that the kind of lack of news surrounding the points deduction for us and the uncertainty around it, and no one at all knowing whether we'd get one or not, probably did affect us in the transfer market. People will say maybe not, but I honestly think it would have, mate. Of course it did. I mean, Matthias Sula. You don't think Matthias Sula's agent was aware that Leicester were facing a points deduction, for example, and then he ends up, and then he's twerking for, he's twerking for Roma. So yeah, honestly, mate, it's a crazy day, mate. But the comments I'm seeing about Cooper, get rid of Cooper, bring in Potter is funny, mate. It is funny.
It's fair. Here we go.
Before you carry on, Anil, sorry, I was just going to say, we said it in all the streams we've done. This stream is currently going live on my channel and Anil's channel. So if you're watching on my channel, go to Anil and hit subscribe for Fox's sake. I always have to be careful. And if you're watching on Anil's channel, come over to mine, Blue Tinted Glasses, and hit subscribe. You don't have to watch on each other's channels, but just hit subscribe, hit the like. It helps us both out. It's much appreciated. Go on, Anil. Sorry.
Yeah. No, please. Thank you so much for saying that, Lox. Yeah, that would mean a lot. And, definitely today it's for Fox's sake in the best possible sense when we did it. But thank you. And he's just sent this to me. I wanted to read this. He said, the Premier League was surprised and disappointed by the panel's decision, has confirmed it will now consider whether to make a subsequent appeal of its own. But insiders feared the risk of it failing could be too great considering the high bar threshold. So they don't want to get egg on their face and be like, oh, okay, we tried it, and now it's going to make us look even more stupid and we're going to lack even more authority. And that's absolutely possible. Bringing up Reedy, either way would have been relegated. It's better that we were relegated on our own account and then got promoted to the team we had to. What could have after this season? I mean, regardless, we've definitely taken probably like a 4 or 5 year back step, if you ask me.
Reedy, mate, we ain't going down no more, Reedy. Come on, get those blue tinted glasses on. Come on, we are not going down no more. We're staying up after this.
There's loads of comments like this. Watch VAR become the most biased technology against us. We'll probably set the record for penalties conceded. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, mate. It's just, I'm just shell shocked. Honestly, I'm shell shocked, mate. Honestly. I saw Nick DeMarco put a celebratory picture up of him drinking a pint of Peroni. I don't know if you've seen that yet. And my cousin obviously retweeted it. I don't know if that was now actually he posted that, or maybe it was an old image. Has he tweeted?
No, it is. It is from today actually.
Yeah. So somebody's quote retweeted it, my cousin, and said, "You'll never have to buy a pint in Leicester ever again, ever." Yeah.
He won't, even if we got relegated again. I mean, that's absolutely unbelievable. The crazy thing is, though, is like I say, I'm pretty sure that he also represented Forest, and I think he is considered, and his firm, I'll have to find which one they're called, but they're considered the best sports lawyers in the UK. And I mean, God, yeah, getting here, oh, Nicky DeMarco. There's definitely going to be songs sung for him on the weekend for sure. No, I do wonder though, because I think aren't other clubs also have potential PSR issues? I mean, there's obviously this craziness just in the transfer window. Like, I don't know if you saw, the one that really stood out to me is there's an extremely dodgy one that Forest and Newcastle did, where Forest sold a keeper, the Benfica keeper called Vladimir Komos, and Newcastle bought him for 30 million. Right. And then Newcastle were linked with buying another keeper, and this goalkeeper isn't even starting for him. So it's like, I think you can get away with some of them where there's market value. So, for example, say Chelsea bought Kiernan Dewsbury Hall for us for 30 million. I mean, I would argue, given that Jorginho Rutter went from Leeds to Brighton for 40 million, that 30 million is actually a bit cheap. So things like that will be okay. And we're not the only ones. There are a lot of other sort of fair ones, I think, as well. I think Chelsea bought someone off Villa who did cost 20 million, but it was like the most highly rated player in their academy or something like that. So maybe you're sort of squeezing it, but I can sort of see the sense there. But I do wonder if things like that, there's no way they can cut it. Because did you see on deadline day, Chelsea were trying to sell a player to their own sister club, David Washington, for 27 million. And then they pulled out of it the last second because I think someone said there's no way that we're going to say that that's a legit deal. Well, what do you think about that before I bring up some of these other comments? What do you think of the other teams? Because there are a few other teams that I think have some trouble with PSR.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen someone say that, maybe now the likes of Everton and Forest, who were punished for that same year, that same period, maybe they're going to argue now against it. But I don't think they can, because, again, we've got off on the technicality that we were relegated, that we were no longer a Premier League club. And on the topic now, this topic here of these other clubs that have been doing weird deals, and Leicester were one of them, because Dewsbury Hall and Michael Golden, that was a very similar one to the others we've seen. Another one to mention is Ian Matson and Amari Kellyman. That was one that took place. There was also one with Everton and was it Amadou Onana? Was it Amadou Onana and I can't remember his name. Yeah. So, and I think at the time I was like, we need to get involved in this. We have to. We've got to get involved. And obviously, it looks like we may have with the Dewsbury Hall one. So, look, if I'm sure these clubs that were doing these deals had lawyers to make sure that it wasn't punishable, that the Premier League weren't going to come out and give them a points deduction or a fine for doing these deals. There are clearly many, many loopholes. And I think the Premier League, I don't know if you saw this, I saw it a few days ago, but apparently last season alone, the Premier League ended up spending like £88 million on legal fees to do with PSR and stuff like that. So I think that's going to double in price now, mate, because they are going to have to, just completely rewrite these rules, to be honest with you. I think they're changing anyway to like an anchor system. I don't know too much about it, so I won't comment. But yeah, it's just Kieran Maguire is the best guy to speak to on all of this stuff. We'll have to get him on a show with us one day.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, I never really listened to talks, but tomorrow I will actually put it in my ears and enjoy it. But I didn't realize there were so many teams that potentially had issues here. And look, I think you're right. I mean, definitely the one about teams essentially trading players with one another, that does seem really dodgy. And I'm sure that will come up. But I do have to say that most of those transfers, I think, did look okay. But the ones that you mentioned, I think, were the slightly dodgy ones. So, for example, Villa buying Ian Matson for, let's say, 32 million. I don't think that's odd, because he got to the Champions League final with Dortmund, highly rated player. That probably is his market value, given that Chelsea have spent 60 million on defenders in the past. But yeah, things like Amari Kellyman, that was the one I was mentioning, the academy star for 20 million. That is a bit pricey. The goalkeeper one that Newcastle and Forest did, that is and Elliot Anderson going, well, let's finally bring up Reedy. I mean, if we were relegated this season, it would have been due to this points deduction. But now we've got relegated and got promoted. So we're in a better position now than if we did break it. So, all right, let me get the thing. See, I'm not sure I'd agree with that, Reedy, because I guess what he's saying is, let's say the season that we went down, Everton go down instead, we don't go down. Then we probably would have kept, let's say, Harvey Barnes. I think James Maddison was a goner regardless. Probably all those other players. So we probably would have a stronger squad overall than what we do as of today. And it might give us a better chance. Or has it been a net positive? Because by being flushed down the toilet, so to speak, we've been able to cleanse the team of some high earners.
I wouldn't say it's a net positive at all, because no matter how sour it ended with Brendan Rodgers, he's a far better manager in my eyes than Steve Cooper. And the reason it ended so sour with Brendan Rodgers was because of PSR issues, because he couldn't freshen the squad, because he threw the players under the bus and then didn't get anyone in to replace them. So, and obviously, I'm sure it soured between him and the board as well. So I don't think we're net positive at all. What I will say from, I can't remember if it was an earlier comment from Reedy or someone else, is that now, at least if we get relegated this season, Anil, it's on us on a solely footballing kind of side of it, rather than politics and other stuff like that. And if anything, it adds a little bit more pressure to Steve Cooper. He probably won't care. He'll probably be much more happy now than he was last night. But he knows now that if we get relegated under him, it's on him. It's on him and the squad, rather than people in the Premier League. I don't think we would have got straight back up if we got relegated this season. Yeah, I mean, again, it's all down to that. That was Reedy's latest comment. It's just all hindsight. It's all kind of hypothetical, isn't it? We just don't know. We don't know. Obviously,
make sure we don't get relegated is what I would say. So there's a few things regarding,
Oh, no, I was just going to say the assumption is that the EFL will punish us as well, isn't it? So,
well, they definitely will, but we'll talk about it in a moment. We should do. So Dale said we'll go down if Cooper stays in charge. I mean, we might get rid of him faster. But I think, to be fair, a few people are saying this, and I kind of agree with this. Nah, everyone's saying Cooper out. We should be telling Potter to do one. This is what he missed out on. That's from Isaac. I agree with you. And someone else has put a good comment as well, where he's basically said, well, the thing is Cooper wanted this job. He was prepared to take this job regardless of what the situation was. And that's what we want. We don't want someone that's just going to wait in the wings and then just be like, oh, okay, well, now that the job looks a lot better than it was before, I'll take the job. That, I think, is here we go. So Steve Cooper had taken this opportunity to manage Leicester City where most people would not. If I, would not have applied for the job. That's from Paul. See, I kind of agree with that. I think he deserves his opportunity to show us what he can do. What do you make of that? Because at the same time, this is a business, Locks. And the thing is that if in your business is going to go under and there's a nice guy that you've got in charge, we've done it with Ranieri before.
So my top three were, well, my top two. I had a top two, NL. It was Carlos Corberán and Graham Potter. Graham Potter's turned us down 3 times now. I don't think he'll ever be a Leicester manager. And I think whoever said it was right. If Potter, let's say Cooper was sacked and Potter applied, we should tell him to go and do one, because he's turned us down. Well, allegedly a couple of times. With regards to Cooper, yes, I think, a bit of admiration has to be given to him for taking on a job that seemingly nobody else wanted. But that does not excuse him from criticism. It does not excuse him if things don't go well. Not at all. We can't just, if we're bottom of the league in 10 games, we can't just say, oh, well, no one else wanted the job. It's just ludicrous to say that. And it shows no ambition whatsoever. So personally, I think, look, I hope Cooper proves me wrong. And I know Reedy's not a hater, but you know what I mean? He's not a fan of him. I hope he proves Reedy wrong. I hope he proves a lot of people wrong. Now he has no excuse with regards to points deductions. Like I said, it's on him and the players to get us out of it. And I'm actually very confident in these players. Like I said earlier, from what I've seen of them. And I do think the manager has cost us 4 points so far this season, if I'm completely honest. I think we could have beaten Spurs in that second half. And I think we could have got a draw against Villa. Easily.
Yeah. We definitely, I do feel I don't know. It's a difficult one. I think our performances have been okay, but the results not so good. We'll come back to that in a moment. So,
Yeah.
so unfair to Everton and Forest and other teams that have points deducted. Bloody crops FA means Man City will escape as well. Well, that's the thing. I mean, you could say it's unfair, but I mean, so just to kind of come back to Lox's point, which I agree with, right? So let's
Look at
cast
the
our minds
badge.
back to 2022, 2023. And in that season, we as Leicester fans, we are in the transfer window and everyone's like, oh, who are we going to sign? Who are we going to sign? We're going to sign Charles de Ketelaere. Are we going to sign, I don't know, insert whoever was hot at that point in time? 2 or 3 additions are definitely going to come in. The window keeps rolling on. Nothing. Goes on a few bit later. Last pre-season game. Tumbleweed. Absolutely nothing happening. Then, to make it even worse, 3 days before the window ends, Wesley Fofana throws his toys out the pram and he's on his way to Chelsea for 70 million. And we have to rush through a replacement, which is wild fast. So that season, we've literally signed nobody, whereas every other team that were in the relegation battle with us strengthened, and we didn't. We were quote unquote playing by the rules then. And we end up getting relegated. Now, we did spend in January, to be fair, but the players that we brought in were a championship player, Harry Suter, who's still in the championship right now. We signed a fairly unproven Danish international in Victor Christensen, and we signed a Brazil international on loan in Tete. And we even had to allow Mark Albrighton to go out on loan because of wages. So here's from Gotta. He's saying, well, Everton cheated relegation, Steve. I'm not necessarily saying that, but I mean, it is a fact that season, you know, you mentioned it yourself, that we didn't sign any players. And then Brendan Rodgers has been like, well, what are you doing? You've given me nothing. So this squad needs freshening up. There's players that have been here too long. A lot of them were looking for their next move. So what did you make of all of this that I'm trying to bring up? Do I have a point, or have I got my blue tinted glasses on? And let me tell you, I've got them on today, Locks, that's for sure.
On what part exactly? Which part are you asking me?
Well, I guess the point is it's unfair to Everton and Forest, but could you say that it's not unfair to them because they both essentially escaped to relegation, that maybe they should also, like, they should have had their points deductions applied that season? I guess the counterpoint is maybe Leicester should have had their points deduction that season too. So what do you make of all that?
I would say that you're asking me the wrong guy. And I'll tell you why, mate, because I know and I will admit we are guilty as sin. We breached FFP. We breached PSR. We went over the threshold for loss. We have gotten off on a technicality. And I'll tell you what, I will sit here proud with all the tweets and all the comments I've had over the last 6 months from Coventry fans, from Forest fans, from Leeds fans, calling us cheaters, telling us we're going to get a points deduction next year, right? This is a great day, and I am laughing at you all because Leeds, Coventry, you're in the championship. Have that. Leicester City are in the big time with no points deduction, and we are staying up. Clip this up. We are staying up.
You've given me shorts material for about 6 months in this one show alone. Absolutely love it. Well, here we go. Here's the counterpoint. Everton could have sold Iwobi, but they kept him, and he scored an assist against Leicester and Leeds. Maybe. I mean, I will say that season, whilst I think there's a little bit from column A and column B, that I do think it was unfair that I felt we were playing more by the rules than others that season. Equally, that team, there's no way that team should have got relegated. And they all need to have a look at themselves. Like, seeing how hard Yuri was trying in that match at the weekend, was like, well, you weren't trying that hard for us, were you, come the end of that relegation season? You go, fantastic day for our fantastic club. Absolutely agree with you there. Yeah, I mean, what do you make of...
I agree that what you just said, we did try and comply in the year we went down because we didn't buy anyone, right? Was that the year we brought in Alex Smithies as well? I think it was, right?
Yeah.
We didn't sign fast until obviously Fofana had gone.
Yeah.
Then in January, we thought, oh, shoot, we need to sign someone here to try and stay up. And some people will look at that as, well, you bought players, so you didn't try and comply. But then if you actually look at it the other way, I'll spin it, is that if we stayed up, we may not have breached anyway because of the money involved, the prize money and stuff like that. We lost a lot of money by getting relegated, right? TV money and all of this type of stuff. So, but by buying players and trying to maybe finish high, remember the club budgeted for a top 8 finish. And we finished 18th. And that is why we breached FFP. Big up, Chappie.
Well, yeah.
Big up, Chappie.
Yeah, I do also wonder if it was, because that season we may well. It was a bit surprising that we didn't sell anyone else in if we knew that we were going to breach. But maybe the plan was with Maddison and Barnes that because we knew we were going to sell Maddison regardless, right? So maybe that was the plan, that as soon as that season was over, we'd have sold him, and therefore we would have not breached because we'd have done it, beforehand. Let's spend another 100 million in January. I mean, we might even be
100%.
able
Let's do
to.
it.
We might even be able to. Vamos!
Vamos.
Absolutely. Could rename this stream to tonight drinking toffee tears.
Yeah.
Agree with you, Chappie. And with this points deduction, we lost out on better quality players, and now this has come out after the window closes. That's true. If this decision was made back in June,
bro, only Reedy, right? Only Reedy can be negative on this day, right? I'm telling you, Reedy. I've been as negative as you for the last 6 weeks, bro. But just give it a rest today, please. Just today of all days, right? There's nothing to complain about today. I think we can just, we can all smile, even if it's for 12 hours. Come on,
Well, is he being negative? I mean, maybe you could also make the point that, for example, if we'd not have gone down, we could have got better market value for Harvey Barnes and James Maddison. Instead, what we did is because if you remember, when we sold James Maddison, didn't Man United assign Mason Mount, who had 1 year on his contract, for more than what Spurs paid for James Maddison? And it was obvious of those two who the better player was. So the thing is that we basically did those deals because we felt that the previous season, the mistake we made was that with Wesley Fofana, we waited too long to sell him. And then by the time we sold him, it rushed us into making a purchase. Whereas if we'd have just sold him on day one, even if we'd have got 5 million less, we'd have ended up getting the 2 or 3 players that maybe would have kept us up. So there's definitely a fair point to say there.
Mate, sorry, I just had literally clicked over to Twitter for 1 second, and all I see is people just absolutely ripping the people that have been ripping us. You know what I mean? The other clubs and stuff.
Do you want to bring it up?
Yeah, mate. If you go to Twitter, right, and if you actually search in on Twitter, right, not now, but no, you don't have to do it. I was just kind of telling anyone to do it, but I think I enjoy the deduction. If you actually search "enjoy the deduction," it's just full of people. It's great. It's great stuff. It's great content. But anyway, look at this quality. Oh, mate, what a day! Honestly, I'm telling you, this day is gonna go down in history. But even if we get relegated, right, this day will go down in history. It's like those days. Do you remember those evenings where we were linked with like Marcelo and Gareth Bale, and the whole Twitter went into a crazy thing? But absolutely.
All boxed up with the real truth that the Premier League has given us that free content during the international break. I'm just looking at this clip of Vardy, and he's wearing this season's shirt. So has he done that
this
today?
was in the media day. Yeah, that was filmed a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay. Wow, incredible. Where are the Coventry fans telling us to enjoy our points deduction? Shh. Any team that's wearing blue are the cheating Fs.
Yeah.
All right. Do you know what?
Go on.
No. I was going to say, I think we've probably said everything that needs to be said. We'll obviously follow this, but I mean, I had to jump on and speak to you. It's incredible. It's on. The Great Escape is literally on.
Mate, there's no escape needed, right? There's no escape needed. We're all good. Premier League's falling apart again. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, mate, I hear you. Reedy says Cooper's still in charge. It's still a point deduction having him in that. Let's just allow it for a day. Come on, Reedy, man. It's all good. Let's see what happens with the squad. The squad are good enough. Let's see. But yeah, mate, like you said, not really much else to say apart from that. If people want to have a big read of the actual details, they can do that. It's on. I think the one you had up was the Premier League website, so you can find all of that. There's now experts coming out. Kieran Maguire, I just saw a tweet saying he's going to be on Sky Sports News in a few minutes. So if you want to have a watch of that, then you can do that. And yeah, I'll just say it one more time, Anil. We're staying up. We're staying up, mate.
We are staying up. So we are staying up. Unbelievable. Locks, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much to everyone on here. I'm as flabbergasted, as you said. Unbelievable. Let's see what happens. I might go to the next home match. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, the atmosphere will be incredible.
Yeah, I was going to say, mate, what number's above you here? Above you? What's the number?
65.
Yeah, 65 people. I hope you enjoyed the stream. It's been brilliant. It's been great fun. And if you can do me and Anil a big favor, hit the like button, hit subscribe on both channels for Fox's sake and also Blue Tinted Glasses. Yeah, that'll be really nice of you. But even if you don't do it, I hope you enjoyed it because again, we're staying up. We're staying up.
The Great Escape is on. Unbelievable. Thank you so much, everyone. And we'll see you, well, after the international break. I couldn't be more excited if we tried. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah.